Have you ever heard a story about a single person, one woman, who brought an entire terrifying army to its knees? Well, today we're diving into the ancient story of Judith, a woman whose faith and cleverness did exactly that. It's an incredible tale.
So, let's start with that question right there. Can one person, a widow no less, really change the course of a war? I mean, it sounds completely impossible, right? But that's what makes this story so unbelievable.
Okay, so to set the scene, our story begins in a time of absolute terror. The Assyrian Empire was this unstoppable force, just steamrolling everything in its path, led by the arrogant King Nebuchadnezzar. And to crush the last bit of resistance, he sends in his top guy, his most ruthless general, Holofernes.
I mean, just look at this matchup. It's almost a joke. On one side, you've got Holofernes' army. We're talking thousands of cruel, arrogant, well-equipped soldiers. And on the other, the small city of Bethulia, basically trapped, its people literally dying of thirst.
See, Holofernes was smart in a cruel sort of way. He didn't have to waste his men storming the city walls. All he had to do was find their water supply, cut it off, and just wait. It was a siege of thirst, and as the wells ran dry, so did the city's hope.
The people were so desperate, things got so bad, that their own leader, a man named Uzziah, basically gives God a deadline. Think about that. He says, "We'll give you 5 days. If you don't save us by then, we're surrendering." That's how hopeless it was.
But right when it looks like it's all over, when the clock is ticking down on that 5-day deadline, an unlikely hero steps up. This is where the whole story completely flips on its head.
And here she is. Meet Judith. Now, she's not a soldier, she's not a queen, she's a widow, known everywhere in Bethulia for 3 things: her beauty, her wisdom, and most importantly, her unshakable faith in God. Everyone in that city respected her.
So when Judith hears about this 5-day ultimatum, she's furious. She calls the city leaders in and just lays into them. "How dare you put God on a deadline?" she asks. And then she tells them, "I have a plan," but she won't tell them what it is. She just says, "Trust me."
So what's this mysterious plan? Well, her preparation is this amazing psychological transformation. She takes off her mourning clothes and puts on her absolute finest garments, her best jewelry. She makes herself look as stunning as possible. And then she does the unthinkable. She and her maid walk right out of the city gates and straight into the enemy camp.
And her strategy is just methodical genius. On the first day, she gets to Holofernes and wins his trust with this clever, deceptive story. For the next 2 days, she sets up a routine, leaving the camp every single night to pray, so the guards get used to seeing her come and go. By day 4, Holofernes is completely captivated and the trap is set.
And all of this leads to the climax of the story. Holofernes, totally enchanted by Judith, invites her to a private banquet in his tent. He has absolutely no idea that this is going to be his final meal. Inside his tent, Holofernes is celebrating. He thinks he's about to conquer Bethulia and this beautiful woman. He just keeps drinking and drinking until he completely passes out on his bed, totally and utterly vulnerable.
All his attendants leave. It's just Judith, standing over this unconscious general. And in that moment, she doesn't rely on her own strength. She prays. She asks God to give her the power to do what she needs to do to save her people.
And then she does it. She takes Holofernes' own sword from the bedpost, and with all the strength she prayed for, she brings it down. The mission is complete.
But killing the general was only step 1. I mean, that's an incredible act of courage. But how does that one act actually lead to a victory for an entire city?
So, under the cover of darkness, Judith and her maid slip out of the enemy camp one last time using that same routine she'd established. They get back to the gates of Bethulia, and she shouts to the guards, telling them God has delivered them.
Her maid then opens the bag she was carrying, and there it is, the head of Holofernes. Can you just imagine the scene? The shock, the disbelief, and then this explosion of joy and hope sweeping through the city. This one single, gruesome trophy starts a chain reaction. The soldiers of Bethulia are so inspired they just pour out of the city at dawn and attack. The Assyrians wake up to the attack, they go to get their general, and they find his headless body. It's pure chaos. A leaderless army is just a mob. They panic, they flee, and they leave everything behind. So what's the big takeaway from this incredible story? Why is it still being told thousands of years later? Well, it's about so much more than just a military victory. It's really a profound story about courage and about faith. The lessons here are just so powerful.
First, Judith's story shows that faith isn't about just sitting back and waiting. It's a source of incredible strength. It also proves that intelligence and strategic courage can beat brute force any day. And maybe most importantly, it shows us that the actions of one single, determined person can literally change the fate of an entire nation.
And what happened to Judith? She went back to her quiet life. She never remarried, and for the rest of her very long life, she was honored as a national hero. She saved her people, and they never, ever forgot it.
And that leaves us with one final thought to really chew on. When you strip away the strategy and the battle, the story asks us a very simple but very profound question. Just how powerful can one person's faith truly be?